I want the Yolanda survivors to get back on their feet.
We all have our struggles, whether you're rich or poor.
We want to provide the Philippine experience of
Our
love.
biggest enemy is apathy.
My country to be an example.
I think I've always been deeply interested in people's stories.
She started out as a model in the 90s, becoming one of the most sought-after faces for commercials, billboards, and magazine covers, eventually crossing over to television. For Bianca Araneta-Elizalde, beauty runs in the blood. She is the daughter of actress and model Marites Revilla, granddaughter of matinee idol Armando Gallena, and the first Camay soap model Paquita Roses. These days, Bianca is a successful entrepreneur, founder of the Wholesome Table, an organic restaurant she opened with husband Juan Elizalde, aimed at promoting a healthy food culture. She is also a doting mother of 3. Motherhood inspired her to put up a maternity clothing line, Eden, and to co-author a book, Project Mom, with her friend Amanda Griffin Jacob. Bianca is also a breastfeeding advocate, now part of the United for Breastfeeding Awareness campaign, led by the breastfeeding support group L.A.T.C.H, which stands for Lactation Attachment Training Counseling Help. The campaign was launched this August, World Breastfeeding Month.
Right now, let's unite.
In support of breastfeeding.
I'm so for it.
Let's do it!
Say yes.
Oo.
Yes. Yes. Say yes to maternal and child health.
This week on Profiles, Bianca shares her perspectives on breastfeeding and lets us in on her journey from model to entrepreneur, devoted wife and mother.
Bianca, welcome to Profiles. Great to have you.
Thank you for having me.
It's World Breastfeeding Month, and you are an advocate of breastfeeding. Tell us about some of your activities with L.A.T.C.H and what L.A.T.C.H is.
Yes, well, L.A.T.C.H, I actually met them, I think the year that they started. I was contacted by a friend who asked me if I wanted to be part of their campaign. And at that time, I was breastfeeding my eldest daughter, and I was like, an advocate. I did not even know that L.A.T.C.H existed here. And I've been supporting them ever since because I really believe in the power of breastfeeding and all the benefits it does to your kids. So it was something that, even before I became a mom, while I was pregnant with my eldest, I knew that I was going to be a breastfeeding mom. I breastfed my eldest for almost 3 years.
You have a new campaign now, USB, United in
Yes.
Support of Breastfeeding. What's that about?
Well, basically what they wanted to do is to show people that even if you're, let's say even a man or a woman, it's just about everyone, whether you are breastfeeding or not, to support those that are breastfeeding and to support breastfeeding in the country. Even if you're a man, if you support the woman that breastfeeds, it actually goes, a really long way. Actually, my story, if my husband wasn't as supportive as he is, I probably wouldn't have been able to breastfeed as long as
Because it's very difficult for a
It
woman.
is very difficult.
Especially with your schedule, you're juggling
Yes.
a hectic schedule.
Yes, I was a very hands-on mom, and I did this with 3 kids. My last daughter, I just weaned earlier this year, and she was over 3 years old. And a lot of people, roll their eyes and are like, "What is wrong? Stop already!" But I didn't feel like stopping.
What would you say about the different attitudes on breastfeeding? Some women are fearful. They think, I don't have milk. At the same time, some people are a bit embarrassed to do it in public. What would you say to that?
I think initially I was embarrassed to do it in public, but after 3 kids, it got to the point where I was really just literally lifting my shirt and putting my baby there and talking to people, and they were like, whoa. I'm just like, yeah.
You have to feed your baby. Yeah,
yes,
it's a mother's
and in my head, it's such a natural thing. Like, there are worse things you see out there in the world. There are worse things people put out there, and this is so natural. I don't understand why people are offended by it.
There are also some that say it sometimes gets to the cult level where people are really judgmental. They say no to formula, but sometimes some women really cannot express. What do you have to say about this whole, debate on formula, strictly formula, and no formula versus just breastfeeding?
It's hard to say because I think every woman is different. As natural as breastfeeding is, I think it is also something that does not come naturally to many women out there. So I'm very careful with how I approach it because, I mean, I was lucky. I was able to breastfeed for a long time. I could have breastfed a million babies because I was just, you know, I had so much milk.
Very
I'm not
lucky.
kidding. I was donating
Wow.
a lot to PGH at one time. Like I think every week I was sending them coolers full of milk because my babies did not like the bottle. So everything I expressed, everything in excess went to babies in need. And it was actually extremely sweet. I would get letters with the names of all the babies that actually drank my milk. And it was,
nice.
I'm not kidding you, I think it hit like about 100 babies.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
I would get calls in the middle of the night, like, you know, twins were born, they need milk, can we get milk? And
Wow.
they would come over to the house and pick up milk. And I looked at it as like paying it forward.
Yes.
I think that if I were in the position where my child needed something, maybe not milk, maybe blood or whatever, that there would be somebody out there that would be willing to donate
That's
that. So I
amazing.
look at it as paying it forward. So I would just keep donating. Yeah, and so the whole debate with a formula, so there are women that just really have a hard time.
Yeah.
Maybe their schedule doesn't permit it, maybe they're not comfortable with it. There are a lot of factors that contribute to the success of breastfeeding.
Right. But now in your book, Project Mom, you have a
I
chapter
actually
on
talk
breastfeeding.
about, yes, I told Amanda when we wrote that, I said, because we started, you know, designating who takes care of what chapter, so everything is, organized and stuff. And I was just like, you can do whatever you want. I'm doing the breastfeeding because I knew exactly what I wanted to do with that chapter. And I wanted to present that chapter in such a way that it will empower women and teach them what to do to be able to have a successful breastfeeding experience, you know.
And in terms of support, of course, we need a supportive community
We
and
do.
environment.
Yes,
How is the
we
Philippines
do.
doing?
I think we are improving from 10 years ago when I started. I see a lot more people talking about it now. I see a lot more mothers breastfeeding now. I think the country is becoming more open to it. You know, not a few years ago, some of the malls even put breastfeeding stations in rooms so mothers can go there with their babies. I think it's amazing. I think it's great.
During your pregnancy, you also came up with as a mother, you came up with a maternity line,
Yes.
Eden.
Yeah.
With your friend,
with my
Anna,
with
Anna D of L.A.T.C.H. That came out of a need for great breastfeeding and nursing clothes. Well, actually, and maternity clothes. You know, in my first pregnancy, I was one of those mothers that I was like, I am not going to wear maternity clothes. You know, I'm going to try and do this. And I wound up buying, the same clothes, but in 2 sizes bigger. And then I realized, maternity clothes are cut in such a way that it accommodates a pregnant body. Whereas if you're buying clothes that are just 2 sizes too big, it's not fitting you properly. You know, I was pulling up my jeans, like it was not a good look. So I said, I'm going to do a maternity line. And Anna was already in the industry. She was producing some amazing nursing clothes that I bought. And we were like, hey, why don't we collaborate? Let's do a line. And it was quite successful.
Now, another thing you're very passionate about, of course, is healthy living, hence the wholesome table.
Extremely.
Now, what was the inspiration behind this? I know you got into this whole organic movement. You explored this very heavily before you got into it.
Yes. I actually started living this way, I would say about 12 to 15 years ago. Way before organic living was even, trendy. I've come a long way. I've done a lot of research. Both my husband and I follow this at home. We hardly ever ate out. Maybe once a month, if at all. But, we knew we were getting better quality food at home. So why bother eating out? So, I just taught my cook how to make all these meals. I have gone vegetarian, vegan. I'm not any of that right now. But I cut out red meat from my life about 18 years ago. So I've been living this way for so long, and the concept of the wholesome table actually started about 4 years before we put it together. I wanted to do something like this, but I didn't feel like the country was ready for it. Vegetarian restaurants were cropping up very quietly, and small little places were opening, but I didn't feel that people would understand what I was trying to do, because it's not a vegetarian restaurant. It's about organic food, and up to now, I'm still educating people about it. Okay, so I'm going to be making you guys one of my favorite things. It's a smoothie, and here at the Wholesome Table, we're actually really known for superfood smoothies because they're so good for you. They're loaded with these superfoods that we actually sell at the branch. And I'm going to be making one of my favorite recipes, which I taught them how to do here, and it's great before a workout, before I go for my run later, and this is why I'm choosing this. So I put in bananas. I like to throw in some raw cashews in there. It gives it some creaminess and added fat. Throw in some coffee beans, vanilla, cacao nibs, a mood enhancer, and gives you energy as well. Throw in a few dates because that's good fiber. And I add this, which is maca powder, which is a superfood, which balances everything in your system. Put in some ice, whoops. Throw in some water just to get that blender going. One for you and one for me.
I love your placement. I mean, it says it all on the place. Eat consciously, live consciously. It's just knowing where your food comes from.
It is.
What you're putting inside.
It is. It's really, you know what it is? It's really about going back to basics. And the reason why I said that is because I feel like a lot of people right now, they do not know what they're eating. And I'm one of those that's very conscious. I look at labels, I look at ingredients, I look at the number of sugar that's in my food. It's about asking questions.
That's why here everything, all your ingredients you reach, even your condiments, you make from scratch.
We make from scratch.
So
yes,
no refined
because
sugars. Yeah.
what I like to do with the Wholesome Table is everything has to be made from real food. So even our tomato sauce, let's just say, something as basic as tomato sauce, it is made with fresh tomatoes, nothing from a can. So what we do at the Wholesome Table is we make sure everything's prepared from scratch using fresh ingredients. So they do get like a ton of like tomatoes.
Fresh produce, yeah.
They've got to peel those, they've got to chop it, they've got to make that into like a passata sauce.
Yeah.
They make it into ketchup.
Slow food, yeah.
It is slow food, yes.
And you support local farmers.
And
This
we
is
support local farmers. We
agriculture.
get daily deliveries from farmers, which is great because, you know, how else are they going to sell their products? And if they can't sell their products, then they might just resort to conventional farming. And that, again, it degrades the soil. You know, right now, the quality of our food, of conventional food that we eat is so, it's so bad. You basically are not getting the nutrition that you're supposed to be getting, that you think you're getting, because of the quality of the soil. And that is because of conventional farming, which is why I like to support organic farming.
Now,
Yes.
beyond this, of course, Bianca, one thing people all know about you is this lineage of beauty. Your mother is L.A.T.C.H. Revilla, and your maternal grandparents are Mano Goyena, of course, the matinee idol, and the first Kame model.
Yes.
Paquita
Revilla.
Roses. Were you ever pressured to get into it? Did
No.
it just come into...
No, I wasn't pressured to get into it. It was something that I think I entered with my own, you know, based on my own desire to explore it.
Because you started while you were in
really enjoyed it.
university. You were in
Yes,
La Salle, going to La Salle.
actually no. I started in high school.
High school, that's right.
Yeah, so I was second year high school when a scout spotted me in her school fair and asked me to do an ad. To do a VTR for an ad, and I did it, and that was the Ivory ads.
Yes.
I did 10 ads for them.
Yeah.
So that was pretty successful.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I think I do enjoy being in front of the camera.
You're a natural. It just comes so easily.
Well,
and
you
the
know what?
VJing days.
Then I did the VJ.
Yeah.
I was a VJ. I did some TV shows. I was a host. I never got into acting.
Why? Did you ever think about it?
Well, you know what? No, I mean, I'm sure I probably would have been good, but I'm not very good with Tagalog. I was never, you know what? I'm actually okay, but I'm not very confident with Tagalog. I think at that time too, when I was really active in TV, I'm not sure if they could place me. Like,
You would have been the contrabida.
is that what? Is that,
Mestizang contrabida.
probably.
No.
I would have been a very good contrabida. Yeah, no, but I don't know. At that time, I think the market was also very different.
Yeah, because now
Yeah.
we're seeing more foreign,
You do
looks coming in. You don't have to
yes.
really speak the language. But
Yes.
at that time, too, of course, you were this it girl of the time. And then you met your husband-to-be, Juan Elizalde, who was
Yes.
one of the most eligible bachelors.
Was
So
he?
how did that happen? You know, when you guys, it was like the match made in heaven. You know,
Well, yeah. I actually knew him years before we started dating. but he, he's like 9 to 10 years older than me, so we never really went around the same circle. It all started because I had this foundation that I was trying to get together, and I was in the process of putting together a Christmas party for orphans. A friend of mine suggested to throw it at Star City. And I didn't know, who do I contact for Star City? And they were like, oh, Juan Elizalde, his family owns it. So I was like, oh, okay. So I contacted him, and he was extremely helpful. He, arranged for the party and all. And that's when we started sort of texting each other.
That's a great start.
It is actually, right? It was for charity.
Yeah.
It was for charity. So we started texting each other there. He obviously got my number. And yeah, we started dating back then.
And it's been 8 years. You've been married for 8 years? How many years now?
Since 2007.
Since 2007, yes.
We've been married since then, but together since 2002. Wow. So it's been a while.
Yeah. So how do you keep things, of course, always keep it new. You are quite an expert there. How do you guys make sure to keep things going with your busy schedules with the 3 kids?
We like to take little breaks. We love to just go out of town. It's great that we share the same sort of passion. And our lifestyles are so similar. We're both like-minded. We're both really hands-on parents, so we love to travel with our kids.
She's my best friend. She's my company. I'm with her all the time. Bianca, when she sets her heart out to do something, she does it with 101%. She's really, really dedicated to something, even when it comes to taking care of our children, when it comes to exercise, when it comes to any projects that she does it with passion and with her all. She gives it her all. Bianca is a fantastic wife. She's the nicest person. I am so blessed to be married to her. She's a wonderful mother. She takes really good care of our children. I really couldn't ask for more.
And how do you make sure to keep things balanced? I know you're very much into nature. You said you travel. Is that what you do for downtime to make sure you're always grounded?
Absolutely. I'm not a city girl at all. As a matter of fact, I think spending too much time in the city actually gets to me. It stresses me out. So I am one of those that I have to really connect to nature almost on a daily basis. We try to travel. We go out of town. We try to do it every other weekend. We share the same passion there, I think, which is great. Yeah. So every time we're out of the country or out of town, we're always kind of doing nature-y stuff.
Very supportive. You need that, especially when raising kids, right?
I do. And me more than him, actually. I really get to recharge once I connect to nature.
Yeah. Back to Project Mom. So, of course, many people out there really need a lot of help when it comes to raising children. It's not easy. So you're very hands-on with your kids.
Very.
Give us a few tips. What are some of your top tips for raising children in this day and age where, we're just bombarded with technology and just too much going on?
Yes. Well, my number one tip is if you're going to be a mom, be a mom. I like to be an involved mom. I actually have to put that in my schedule because I'm working. Like, okay, time for the kids, time for exercise, time for this. Like, I put that in my schedule so I can really disconnect from what I'm doing to be there with them. I like to put my kids to bed at night, so I make sure I don't schedule anything at night.
And you take them to school too?
I take them to school at 6 a.m. Well, I'm up at 6 a.m. and, take them to school. I do both rounds.
So you have this great restaurant and it's grown. This is your 3rd baby.
This is my 3rd.
3 girls and 3 restaurants now.
Yeah, it comes in threes, yeah.
What do you think's next? What's going to happen? How are you seeing the future?
I foresee this amazing vacation with the family. No work for a while. I looked at my husband. He's very aggressive when it comes to work. And I looked at him, I'm like, okay, we got to stop for now because that's not the pace I'm comfortable with, right? So I would like to think that, we'll take a bit of a break.
Very
for now.
important.
Yes, because we got to focus on what we've got right now.
It helps you bring ideas too, doesn't it?
And I also have a lot of ideas for the brand, like, for the brand per se, and I've not had the chance to focus on that. The Wholesome Table is not done yet. I'm not talking in terms of expansion, I'm talking in terms of the brand. It's not done. And there's a lot of things I'm working on.
It's grown so wonderfully. And you're also very involved in other advocacies like I Can Serve. So you're going to be doing some things with I Can Serve Foundation.
I am. I've been involved with them for a number of years now, and it's a great advocacy. It's for breast cancer awareness, right? So they basically do the check, the breast check, self-checking. So they promote that, and we just shot the campaign for this year. So I'm going to be part of that as well.
It's a wonderful life. You really have a charmed life, Bianca. What is your philosophy? What would you say? What gets you going each day?
I love to look for inspiration in a lot of things, and I'm really one of those that if I feel like I'm a go-getter, I'm not pushy, but I'm not afraid to try new things, and I'm not afraid because I don't know. I just feel like this is your one life. You might as well try everything you want to try. I guess I just try to live as authentic as possible. So anything I get my hands into has to be very authentic to who I am. I think that's my motto in life. It's live authentic.
Well, that's a great thought to end this on. Thank you very much, Bianca. Great talking to you.